Here we go then. Here is Stuart Outback Selkirk Tiger Force Edition in box. Standard G.I. Joe classified packaging, or at least standard G.I. Joe packaging up until this point. I believe they're moving to the plastic-free windowless packaging shortly. But for now, here we go. We can see the figure in the front of the box and the embarrassment of riches that they include in terms of accessories with G.I. Joe Classified. Got this lovely little piece of artwork down here. I think that's great. Really evokes the wilderness survival vibe thing that Outback's got going on, particularly in this Tiger Force edition, and really highlighting the kind of old man grey hair element of the character. That artwork also features on the side of the box. You can see a bigger version of the Picky there. Really lovely, great piece of work. And then on the other side, we've got his number. He's the 39th figure in the range, and then the standard kind of data card thing that you need to then cross-reference with the G.I. Joe Hasbro website-y thing, which I will confess I've never used. Then the back of the box is a bit, I don't know, it's the Tiger Force pick. I think it's the only Tiger Force character we've had to date. I don't know, it's just basically showing some jungle foliage with a bit of stone steps and then some weird zoom-in pictures. I must admit, I do not find that as engaging as I have found previous pieces of artwork on the back of the boxes, and then all your legal malarkey at the bottom, as per usual. So let's get this open. I'm going to go in from the bottom on this. I've already cut the tape. Paperwork. Then slide him out on his tray like this. Well, let's have a quick look at the backing card, actually, because this will be different. Yeah, so the figure's backing card is a Tiger Force backing card there. And so I'll add that one to the growing collection. Let's just get rid of that. And then here we go. Here's the figure in packaging. So we've got the enormous backpack. We've got his little submachine gun thing here with the strap. These are all taped in. Oh no, a nail biter's worst nightmare. Every time I come across tape on these. There you go, there's his handgun. That looks pretty cool, actually. We'll take a closer look at that in a minute. The magazine for his rifle. Bloody hell. Oh, I hate that noise. I'll be glad of the plastic free going just to get rid of that bloody noise. Right, there we go. Tape off. And we've got all his kind of survival gear. Got his little shovel. Got his torch. And his little knife. And then, of course, the figure himself. And there we go. There is Outback out of the box with all his gear. Let's go away and have a bit of playtime. I'm going to do some posing, take some pictures, have a little bit of a play, and then I'll come back in a couple of days and share some review thoughts. But first impressions right out the box is, this guy's looking good. Look at that for a figure. Amazing. And here we go. Here is Stuart Outback Selkirk Tiger Force Edition. It's a few days later. I obviously unboxed it and recorded that bit on the day I received the package, but it's 5 or 6 days later now, and I've had lots of man-child playtime with my Outback. I've had him in the light box taking some pictures. I've had him on the shelf, on the display. I've been rearranging them, see where he can fit quite nicely. I've been posing him up. I might have even had him out in the garden for some photos in this unusually warm weather for me here in the United Kingdom, which is also, incidentally, messing with my lighting. I'm not used to having so much daylight come through the windows. It's freaking out my lighting, so I hope you can see him okay. But I'm about ready now, a few days later, to share some thoughts. So I'm going to move into the review section of the vid, and I'm going to follow my usual 3 A's. I'm going to start by talking about the aesthetic, how he looks, and hone in on some of the details that have caught my eye. Then on to articulation, let's see how this bad boy moves, and then finally onto accessories and kind of walk through all the goodies that have come with him. So let's not delay, let's get into it, and let's start talking a bit about how he looks. Now, of course, when talking about Outback's aesthetic and the way he looks, the way the figure looks, the first thing you've got to call out is the orange Tiger Force t-shirt. I love this design. I think it's awesome. I actually, controversially, prefer it, I think, to the white survival t-shirt that the mainline, more traditional look Outback has. It's just so kind of retro and kitschy and kind of 80s and rock. It's the kind of thing you'd expect Dave Bickler to be wearing under his sleeveless denim vest while on tour with Survivor in the 80s. And that's super appropriate as well, because I get the feeling that this Outback went into the wilderness and started surviving off the land back in the 80s and is still wearing the same t-shirt that he entered the woods in. So yeah, it's really really eye-catching, gives it some nice shelf presence, and I've got to admit, it's a welcome addition to the G.I. Joe side of the shelf. The little splash of colour there just gives it a little bit more something. I've said it before, I know that these are military folks, and therefore it's going to be your military greens and your camo patterns and your khakis and your browns and your blacks and so on and so forth. I get that, but it's also a toy. And a little splash of colour just gives the shelf, the G.I. Joe side of the shelf, a bit more lift and a bit more balance as well when, you've got the Alley Viper sitting on the other side of my display in the Cobra section. So, yeah, I'm loving the orange t-shirt. I'm loving the retro kitschy design. I just think it works and it kind of ties together really well. And that's the first thing that obviously stands out when you talk about the aesthetic of the figure. Before we go any further, did you know that you could help make someone's dream come true today? That's right. It is my dream to have 100 subscribers on this channel so that I can have my own dedicated URL and sack off the random gibberish that YouTube's algorithm generates for my channel's URL. So if you want to be in the business of making dreams come true, take a moment, just a brief moment, to hit that subscribe button for me. I'll love you forever. It's just a second for you, but it will mean so much to me, and I can then have my own URL rather than the random crap that YouTube generates. And also, like many of you, I've got a shit ton of G.I. Joe Classified pre-orders out there. I've got money everywhere waiting for figures to arrive. So if you don't want to miss out on any of my future reviews, a subscribe would help along with that. So, yeah, let's make my dreams come true. And the next thing that catches your eye when you take in how the figure looks and just really soak it in is what's going on up here with the head. Look at this. Look at the head sculpt. It is really tremendous. It tells a story. Just the look of the face and the grey beard and the eyes really just tells the story of what's going on with this character. He is a wilderness survivor, a grizzled veteran. I mean, he's wearing his years of military service right on his face. All the shit he's seen, it's there in every wrinkle and every pore. It's perfect, absolutely perfect. I love it to bits. And look at the detail, the finer detail. If I bring it a bit closer, I don't know if my lighting's doing it justice, but look at the beard. Look at the detail on the beard and the wrinkles around his cheeks and under his eyes and the eyebrows and the eyes themselves and the hair. I mean, look at the detail in the hair. And there's this slight kind of darker grey wash that they've put across it as well. Just this, you can see it a bit more at the back there. Just really tremendous, fine detail in the head sculpt that is really giving this figure a load of character and personality, and that's a big plus for me. Well done, Hasbro, on that one. The head's not the only place where Hasbro put all these this kind of texture in to give it depth and to give the character much more of a story. You can see on the t-shirt here these kind of crease lines. The webbing here that's sitting across it has got all these different textures and shapes and these kind of molded plastic areas to tell the story. You can see the straps, you can see the buckles across the shoulders here. Got these extra leathery looking, oh, my fingers are in there. We've got these extra leathery looking sections there across the hard wearing shoulder spaces. The trousers, what we've come to expect really with G.I. Joe Classified, have got the kind of fabric and texture, look and feel, and the pockets and folds and creases within them. Again, just really adding to the character, adding to the personality of the figure. And the boots there, they look suitably leathery, got the finer detail sculpting on the laces. Again, all this detail just really adds to the figure, gives it some lift, gives it some shelf presence. And one lovely little touch, we got some arm hair. The autofocus, come on. We've got some arm hair here. Look at that across his forearm, this arm hair. And he's got a couple of musculature veins here in the bicep. Yeah, just really lovely, lovely touches to give the character a lot more depth and a lot more detail and a lot more texture and to tell that story. So yeah, banging it out the park in terms of the way that it looks. So as far as the figure looks, big thumbs up recommends from Chris. MoDXtra is loving what's going on with the Tiger Force Outback. Loads of character, loads of charm, tons of personality, great figure for your display, great figure for your photography projects, great figure for your dioramas, just all round good fig. And you know what? I've come to expect nothing less from the G.I. Joe Classified series. They really do make good-looking figures. But let's talk a little bit now about how it feels and move on to the articulation section. And we're going to start by taking a look at what's going on above the shoulders. So it's a standard ball joint at the top of the neck here. That gives us some pretty decent up, although his little mullet at the back here is restricting that a little bit. Some decent down, full 360 Exorcist if you were so inclined, and a bit of tilt and swivel so you could do some stuff, you know, in terms of directional looking and whatnot. So everything's all good and fine above the shoulders. Moving down to the arms, we've got good range of motion up and a full 360 swivel with a butterfly joint in the shoulders. I have to confess actually that I was warned that this guy was a bit stiff out of the box, but mine, I don't know if you can see how loosey-goosey that is. Mine's very loose on the movement in the butterfly joint and around the shoulder joints there. I don't know if that's just me. Let me know in the comments down below if yours was as loose. Then we've got the bicep swivel at the top of the bicep there. Lovely double elbow with the pinless joints. Looks really sweet. Really nice there. And then the standard hand setup where we've got the hinge in the wrist going forward and back on the right arm. And then the hinge on the wrist that goes up and down on the left arm. Then into the main body here with the ab crunch under his chest here. That gives us pretty decent forward, pretty decent back. And then there's some waist swivel here just over the belt, although mine needs a little bit more hot bath time because it's a bit gummy out the packet, but good range of motion there. And again, the webbing doesn't particularly get in the way. You just sometimes need to pull it down a little bit. Then the legs, pretty standard for G.I. Joe classified. Got the little drop-down joints in the groin there, which gives us a good range of motion forward. Fairly decent range of motion backwards and some decent out as well. We've got the thigh swivel at the top of the thigh, although again, a bit stiff out the packet on that front in contrast to the looseness of the arms. The double knee, which goes all the way up like that. Boot swivel at the top of the boot, and then the rocker and the tilt in the foot as well. We're giving it a lot of posable options there in terms of the articulation. Tell you one thing I did notice though, if I spin him around, I don't know if you can see here on the knee joints, I've scraped a bit of the paint off on the same spot on both sides, which indicates maybe, you know, a similar issue going on where I've been bending him at the knee. But, you know, whatever. Minor point that, I suppose. So I've just dropped out back here next to Flint for just a bit of a side-by-side comparison with another G.I. Joe classified figure. So you can see a bit of the difference in terms of the sculpt and the body shape and the physique. That's giving the variety to the G.I. Joe classified line. You can see that his muscular shape is more bulky in comparison to Flint. He's ever so slightly taller, but only marginally. I don't know if his head seems a bit fatter. Does his head seem a bit fatter? Does the scale of their head seem a bit odd there? I don't know. But yeah, just to give you a sense of that shape and size of the kind of more svelte, more athletic looking G.I. Joe classified character compared to the more muscular looking G.I. Joe classified. Now I would, in an ideal world, perhaps pop a roadblock or a gung-ho next to Outback here, but I don't have a gung-ho or a roadblock to share, so you're going to have to settle for Flint. I'm sorry, folks. And here we go then. Here is a fully kitted out Outback in a little pose. This is how I had him in a little photo that I was taking a bit earlier on. Had Beachhead in the mix on it, kind of stepping forward, reloading his rifle there. And you can see just the quality of the figure is up to the usual G.I. Joe classified series standard. Look, the fact that I've got him heel up in the air, stood straight, rock solid, on a battery-powered little rotating thing without him toppling is just mind-blowing to me, and that's great for those of us who want to do displays or get them posed up for photographs and stuff. So very, very happy with the figure overall, and you know, as I say, G.I. Joe Classified, I'm head over heels in love with the series. I think it is really possibly my favourite at this moment in time, and I think it knocks your Marvel Legends and your Black Series out of the park 9 times out of 10 on every level. Like the quality of the sculpt and the detail, the quality of the articulation, the variety and range of accessories that they provide, the story that they tell, the character, the personality, it's just really all over it. They're doing a great job on that front. If I had one criticism, I'm just a little disappointed, as I mentioned before in the articulation section, that my butterfly joint and my shoulder is a little bit loosey-goosey. I tend to find with G.I. Joe Classified that they've struck the right balance between it being loose enough to be well articulated and that you can do stuff with it, but tight enough that it stays in place, but without that anxiety, you know, that stress that, oh, if I pull this too hard, I'm going to snap my figure. So that's just a bridge too far, really. It's too loose
up here, and I think that's probably unique to mine. I don't think that's something across the range, or probably, I suspect, if you let me know in the comments below, other Outback owners will not be experiencing the same. But yeah, absolutely, really head over heels in love with this one. I've been playing with it non-stop for the last 4 or 5 days, and will be playing with it non-stop for some days yet to come. So Outback, big thumbs up. MoDXtra recommends. Okay then, folks, well, that brings me to a close of yet another G.I. Joe Classified Series review on the MoDXtra channel. I hope that if you've been thinking about picking up a Tiger Force Outback for yourself, my comments today have helped you make a decision as to whether this is the figure for you. And don't forget to drop me a like, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and help me on my journey to 100 subscribers. But in the meantime, I've been Chris, this is the MoDXtra Games and Collectibles channel, and hopefully I'll see you again around these parts sometime soon. Thanks for watching.